I'm Horace Mann, an educational reformer, and I'm going to be discussing the history of teacher education. Beginning in the 1600s, only men were educators in the classroom. Women, during this time period, were unable to be educators. In the mid-1800s, the Common Era rose. Common schools are what we now know as public schools. In these schools, children would gain needed knowledge while also learning how to be productive democratic citizens. I, Horace Mann, propose a system of free, universal, and non-segregated schooling, where each school district would provide a school for all children regardless of religion or social class. As school size increased, the demand for teachers increased as well, thus sparking more women educators. This is the first normal school in Massachusetts. Normal schools sprung up in the 1840s because educators recognized the need for stimulating and demanding preparation courses. Today, normal schools are known as universities and colleges.
As normal schools were springing up, there were not many requirements for someone to become a teacher. New teachers just had to persuade the local school board of their character, and some just had to pass a general knowledge test. In 1834, Pennsylvania became the first state to require teacher training. They had to pass a reading, writing, and math test. By 1867, most states required teachers to pass a locally administered test in order to get a state certificate. This was not only basic skills. The North offered short courses in educational methods, mainly for elementary teachers. In the West, normal schools offered longer courses, academic and professional. In rural areas, local school boards ran teacher institutes where teachers could get stronger in certain subjects. It was very irregular and diverse. Teachers became role models and much more respectable and knowledgeable on their subjects.
In the early 1900s, a movement began to set standards upon who can teach and who cannot. This directly affected teacher education programs. Not long after, teachers began to have to pass a test that certified them to teach the classroom. While most teachers went to college and majored in things such as history or math or science, many of them majored in pedagogy, in the act of actually being a teacher. As more women entered education, the career lost its prestige. Because there were few intellectual requirements involved to teach, many people looked down on the career as a whole. Most educators simply wanted the same recognition and acclaim that doctors and lawyers had, simply because they too make a difference. In 1983, a report entitled A Nation at Risk was released. It depicted teachers that were both underqualified and underpaid, working in poor conditions, achieving poor results. A solution to the report came a couple years later. In 1986, a follow-up report was released entitled A Nation Prepared. It proposed solutions such as improving teacher education, restructuring the teaching force, and giving more say to teachers and how student achievement standards are accomplished. In 2001, the law No Child Left Behind came to fruition. The general idea behind the law is, by setting high standards and setting measurable goals, every child will be able to succeed. In addition, the law raised standards for teacher education programs and for teacher certification processes. It also allowed teachers even more creativity in teaching materials and allowed a means by which to compare schools to one another.
Created using Powtoon.